All right, so we're diving deep today into a Netflix series that kind of twists that Hollywood glamour we all love with a real-life crime story that's like way darker than anything you could make up.
Oh, wow.
Ready for this?
Yeah, hit me.
It's called Monster, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story.
Okay, I've heard of this one.
It takes us all the way back to 1989 Beverly Hills.
Oh, wow.
So picture this. Two brothers, Lyle and Erik Menendez, accused of murdering their parents.
What?
In their mansion.
No way.
With a shotgun.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, just the details alone are enough to make you wonder.
It really happened.
Exactly.
Behind those closed doors.
Right. It's a story that totally captivated the nation.
For sure.
And not just for the violence.
Right.
But all those questions it raised.
Yeah, you think about it.
You've got a family living the American dream.
Like total success.
Yeah, money, the perfect life.
Right.
But then this series, Monster, it like peels back those layers and exposes this much more complicated truth.
Totally. And that's where it gets really interesting.
Right?
Because it doesn't just tell the story of the crime.
Yeah.
It like goes deep into the psychology of these brothers, their relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
And then the whole abuse claims that became central to their defense.
Right. This series forces us to confront that question.
Like the biggest question, right?
Nature versus nurture.
Were they born monsters?
Like the title suggests.
Right. Or did everything they went through
in
this seemingly perfect family turn them into...
Yeah. Did it shape them?
The people who could do something so awful.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the abuse allegations, because that's a huge part of this story.
For sure.
The brothers claimed that their father, José Menendez, he wasn't just demanding, but like physically and psychologically abusive.
Wow.
They even said there was sexual abuse, which they said started when they were kids.
Oh my gosh, and this is where the series really brings those claims to life.
It does.
You've got Javier Bardem playing José Menendez.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
His performance is so chilling, but also nuanced.
Yeah.
Like he captures that domineering personality.
Totally.
But you also sense this darkness like under the surface.
You're always questioning like what are his motives?
Is this guy,
what is he really like?
What's his true nature?
Exactly. And then Chloë Sevigny plays Kitty Menendez.
Oh wow.
The mother.
Interesting.
And her portrayal is just as fascinating.
That's awesome.
Like, was she aware of the abuse?
Right.
Was she a victim too?
Yeah, was she?
The series doesn't give you easy answers.
I bet.
It makes you think about the whole family dynamic, all those secrets they kept hidden.
Yeah, that's what makes it so compelling.
I know.
Doesn't shy away from the gray areas.
Yeah.
You know, you're left grappling with all the different perspectives.
The different accounts.
Right, and you have to confront your own assumptions about guilt and innocence.
Absolutely, and I think the casting choices just add to that.
For sure.
Like Alexander Chavez, who plays Lyle. He really gets that older brother vibe.
Right.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
Driven. Maybe even manipulative.
Oh, wow.
And then there's Cooper Koch as Erik. Who's more sensitive, you know, vulnerable, really affected by the trauma.
It's fascinating to see how they portray those differences.
Yeah.
Not just their personalities,
but
how they each handled the abuse and then the aftermath of the murders.
Yeah. The casting directors did an amazing job.
They really did.
Okay. So we've got this crazy family drama. A shocking crime. A trial that gripped the nation. But here's what makes Monster stand out from other true crime series.
Okay. What's that?
It dives into filmmaking.
Oh, really?
In a way that's super impactful.
How so?
There's this one episode where they use a continuous 30-minute take.
Wow.
And it's incredible.
It must be.
It like heightens the tension and realism.
Oh, I bet from a technical standpoint, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You might not even notice it at first.
Right.
But that 30-minute take, that took so much planning and skill.
Totally.
It really immerses you in the story.
It does.
Blurs the line between fiction and reality.
It makes you think, right?
Yeah.
About how powerful film is. Like it can manipulate your emotions.
Yeah.
Shape how you see things.
It's true.
And that's something we'll definitely explore more as we go deeper into the series and talk about all the ethical stuff.
Right, because Monster doesn't just present the facts.
No.
It makes us think about how those facts are presented, how the media shapes our view of crime, and how we as viewers become part of building those narratives.
It's really interesting, and this brings us to a really important point.
Okay, what's that?
There was some criticism
about
that monster might be romanticizing the brothers.
Oh, wow.
Some viewers felt like some scenes really emphasized how vulnerable they were. And that could be seen as sympathy.
Right.
Or even justification.
Yeah. That's a valid concern.
Totally.
It highlights that ethical line that true crime productions have to walk.
It's tricky.
Yeah. How do you tell a good story without minimizing the crime?
Yeah.
Or making the perpetrators look good?
It's tough. And Monster doesn't shy away from that question.
No, they don't.
The creators defended what they did.
And what did they say?
They said they wanted to show a nuanced view of the brothers.
Okay.
Exploring their motivations and vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
But not saying what they did was okay.
Right. And I think that's where the series really works.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you easy answers or judge.
Right.
It lays out the evidence, all the complexities, and makes you wrestle with those uncomfortable truths.
Totally. And speaking of uncomfortable truths, the series doesn't just focus on the courtroom.
Right.
It shows us what happened after the murders.
Okay.
The brothers' behavior before they were arrested. We see them spending tons of money.
On what?
Like fancy cars and watches.
Wow.
Throwing parties.
It's crazy to think
I know.
that they were doing all that while their parents were dead.
Exactly. And that connects back to this whole idea of appearances versus reality, especially with wealth and privilege. The Menendez brothers, they presented this image of grieving sons.
Right.
But their actions told a totally different story.
Yeah. It makes you wonder.
It does.
How much of what we see even in real life is all an act?
Right. Is it genuine?
Yeah.
Or is it all calculated?
It's a question that goes way beyond this case.
For sure.
Especially in Hollywood.
Where image is everything.
Right.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
It is. It's so interesting how the series uses those details. Yeah. Like the spending and stuff.
Yeah.
To show something deeper. It's like they were trying to build this fake world where all the bad stuff couldn't touch them.
It's like they were playing a part.
Yeah.
Even before they were suspect.
Right. And that connects to this big theme in Monster.
What's that?
Manipulation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it wasn't just about buying things or pretending to be something they weren't. They were manipulative in other ways, too.
Like,
with the police, the media, even their therapists.
Oh, wow. The series really shows how they built their story.
Yeah.
How they used their charm and made themselves seem vulnerable.
To try and get people on their side?
Exactly. Remember that interview on 2020?
Oh, yeah.
It was huge.
Everyone was talking about it.
And you could see how their story really got to people.
That's such a good example.
I know, right?
Of how the media shapes these big cases.
Yeah.
The Menendez brothers knew how powerful the media was. And they used it.
They were like celebrities.
Right. Their faces were everywhere.
Yeah.
And everyone was arguing about their story.
It makes you wonder.
What's that?
Can you ever really separate the facts
from
how it's presented in the media?
It's a good question.
I know.
Especially now with social media and news all the time.
We're always getting information.
But do we really know what's true?
Right. Monster reminds us to be skeptical.
Not just believe everything we hear.
Right. We can't just accept the stories we're given.
No.
We have to look deeper.
Yeah.
Think about different sides and question what we believe.
Exactly. And that's what makes Monster so different from regular true crime.
It's more than just entertainment.
Yeah, it's a commentary on the justice system.
Yeah.
The media and how we play a part in these stories.
It's definitely thought-provoking.
It is.
But let's go back to the ethical stuff.
Okay.
Because there were some people who felt like the series showed the brothers as too vulnerable.
Right. And that could be seen as sympathy.
Exactly.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's hard to show these real-life things in fiction.
Right.
You don't want to make it seem exciting.
Yeah.
Or make people feel sorry for the bad guys.
Right. But the creators said
they
wanted to show a nuanced picture of the brothers.
Their psychology and stuff.
Right. Like what made them tick.
But without ignoring the awful things they did.
Exactly. And I think the series does a good job of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't shy away from the dark side.
Going on with human boys.
Violence.
Right. But it also makes you think about the human side.
The reasons they might have done it.
It's like peeling back layers. You start with the shocking crime.
The headlines.
Right. But then you see how complicated it is.
All the moral gray areas.
And in the end,
yeah,
you're left with more questions than answers.
And that's how it is in real life.
Right.
Things aren't always black and white.
There's no easy judgment.
The Menendez case is a good example. It reminds us that the truth can be hard to find.
Totally.
And sometimes it's not clear who the victim is and who's the bad guy.
It's a story that really sticks with you.
Yeah.
It makes you think about justice, family, and how powerful storytelling can be.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
The story isn't over.
What do you mean?
Remember those new developments?
Oh, yeah, the letters.
And the testimonies?
They could change everything.
It's possible.
It's like a real-life drama.
With twists you couldn't
I don't want there to be any more lies between us.
Writing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the people who made Monster.
Anyone.
Ryan Murphy, the creator.
Yeah.
It is over.
He's known
Stop.
for pushing the limits.
I'm going to
Tackling
fix this
tough
file.
subjects.
He's not afraid of the dark stuff.
No.
The things that make people do terrible things.
Right, like American Horror Story or Dahmer.
Yeah.
He's fascinated by the darkness inside people.
Which makes him perfect for this story.
Right, because the Menendez case isn't just about murder.
No, it's about the secrets we keep.
The lies we tell.
And what happens because of them.
And it shows us
Alive.
that even though we live in a world where information is everywhere,
Yeah.
there are still mysteries out there.
Things we don't know.
The Menendez case is a perfect example.
It is, with all its twists and turns.
Yeah.
And different versions of the story.
Right, so where does that leave us?
Good question.
What can we learn from this deep dive into Monster?
I think for me,
Yeah.
it's a reminder not to jump to conclusions.
Right.
There's always more to the story.
Than what we see at first.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does.
And for anyone who's into true crime or Hollywood stories,
Yeah.
or even just wants to understand people better,
Right.
Monster is something you got to see.
I agree.
It mixes this real-life case with amazing acting
Yeah.
and themes that make you really think.
It stays with you.
It does, for
It
sure.
reminds us that even stories based on real life are still seen through a certain lens,
Right.
the people making them choose what to show.
What to focus on.
And that changes how we see the story.
And with Monster,
Yeah.
those choices really caused a stir.
A lot of debate.
Some people thought they focused too much on the abuse claims,
Right.
while others thought it was pretty balanced.
And that's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you what to think.
No.
It gives you the evidence, the different sides, and
Right.
you get to decide.
Which is kind of what we're doing here.
Right.
We're digging into the series.
Yeah.
Looking at all the layers.
The detail.
Thinking about the ethics of it all.
And we're not just learning about the brothers.
No.
We're learning about ourselves, too.
How we handle information.
How we judge.
How we deal with tough moral stuff.
That's what good stories do.
Yeah.
They don't just entertain.
No.
They make us think.
Challenge us.
Help us understand the world better.
So well said. I think it's time to wrap up. We've gone over a lot.
Yeah, the crime itself.
The Brothers' Defense.
The media.
Effects of true crime.
Even the new stuff that's come out.
It's wild that this story is still going.
It shows how powerful it is.
It really grabs you.
Makes you think.
And makes you face some hard truths.
About ourselves and the world.
So as we leave our listeners to think about all this,
Yeah.
I think we should end with the big question.
Okay.
Can we really call the Menendez brothers monsters?
After all we've talked about.
The abuse, the manipulation, the different stories.
It's a tough one.
Is the truth more complicated than that?
Something to think about.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think Monster shows us
Yeah.
that things aren't always simple.
Yeah.
People are complicated.
For sure.
And sometimes the best stories
Yeah.
are the ones that leave us with more questions.
Then answers?
Exactly.